I never cease to be amazed by like how much of a difference it makes with like the things that you say to yourself and the things that you think when you like go into a set or you start a set. Because I used to honestly always like look for the negatives. So like when I would go into a set and it would feel hard, I'd be like, oh God, that first rep was really hard. Whereas like if you go into a set, like for example, like that first rep felt way harder than it should have done, because you all know, like you will know how something should feel or how something feels on a good day or how something feels on a bad day or whatever. But like if you get that moving and you're like, fucking hell, this is hard, but I'm strong, like I can get after this set, like you'll make it move. But if your first thought is, oh, this is heavy, you will subconsciously or consciously make that so much harder than yourself. And then it should be, like you will make it so much harder for yourself, you know? So be very, very aware of like the things that you think and the things that you say to yourself, because like, yeah, sure, you maybe can't control how like physically strong you are on the day, but you can really control how mentally strong you are and change your outcomes based on the things that you say to yourself. Well, you'd have to have your feet about that wide. Shame it doesn't get deep. This is the problem for me with everything. I'd have to put 60 back pads behind me for me to fit on any piece of equipment. I mean, look at me here, back pads. But oh well. Honestly, 90% of my clients like use something like this on every piece, because let's be honest, as a female, unless you're 5'7" and above, 5'6" and above, like you're gonna feel weird on most pieces of kit. So if you haven't got like something like this lying around in your gym, you can get like a mirror fit pad online, like the 10, 20 quid, or even just like a little block or something, and it will honestly make probably like 90% of your movements, especially leg pieces, feel so much better. In any other situation where you've usually seen me do a stiff leg or an RDL or whatever it is, I've pretty much always done it first thing. Now this is another reason why I have this in the leg session, is one, to reduce the frequency at which I hip hinge. So previously I was hip hinging every 5 days on pull, and then also 2 sessions following on from that I was always having legs, so I was always then squatting. So I was always hip hinging and squatting within 2 days of each other. And when it comes to lower back loading and just general recovery, my body was feeling horrendously beat up from that, especially as I'd gotten stronger. So usually when you're maybe in your earlier stages of training, or if you're maybe not trying to max out every week, you can probably cope with that frequency. And of course, individual recovery capacity is always going to be a bit different. But for me, I was just like absolutely beat up. So what we've done instead, like I say, we're doing it every 10 days in the leg session, and I have the adductor and I have the seated hamstring curl beforehand. What does that do? It does a couple of things. It makes sure that my body is, I suppose, a little bit more ready going into those movements. So I've got a bit more blood flow. I'm not kind of just going in raw and racking a load of weight off the floor. But at the same time, it also intentionally limits the amount of load that I am exposing myself to on those movements, because I am pre-fatiguing certain muscle groups already, you know, so my hamstrings and my adductors are already somewhat pre-fatigued when I go in, so I'm not going in first thing and trying to pull a shitload of load off the floor. I am a little bit more fatigued going in, and that allows me to target the muscle groups that I want to a little bit better, but also reduce my injury risk. So a lot of it is to just simply make sure that I'm getting the best stimulus whilst minimizing my risk of, you know, injuring myself. So what you see me do today won't be as strong on paper as what I've done before, but that's just because it's in a different spot, it's in a different position. I'm also doing it 2 days after I've trained my back, so it's just different, and that's what you've got to take into consideration. And if ever you have any changes in your training split like that, don't worry about comparing numbers or what you've done before. You have to go into it with a fresh and open mind. So if you have to move things around for injury or for bad connection, whatever it is, just make sure you take that fresh perspective when you go in. 120, Jesus. That was 120 to 6, which I suppose kind of like I said earlier on, my numbers on this are very different to what they used to be. And with this specific set, I've done like 120 for 6, then I did 6, and then the other week I managed to get a progression with 8, and then now I'm back down to 6. And it's sometimes a little bit of a head fuck, because you think like, where are my numbers at? Have I progressed? Have I regressed? But realistically, like that set has stayed the same, even as my body weight's come down, really. So I've got to take that, and I don't like to think about my body weight too much when I go into sets like this. I actually wasn't sure what my body weight was in kilos. I've just actually checked it, and I'm about 59 and a half at the moment. So, you know, it's still double my body weight. So I suppose I've got to take that as a win. Would I like to take more? Yes, but remember again, it's not the goal. It's not the goal. The goal is not, crazy numbers. The goal is to take a good set of stiff legs in the middle of a leg session. Like, I feel a huge difference doing this like this after I've already like pre-fatigued my hamstrings, pre-fatigued my adductors, and my back is honestly like a bit sore coming in from pull 2 days ago. So it's just different. Like, that's it, and that's safe work, and that's all that I need to take. And I'm hard on myself. Like, I think I don't ever like to say that my work is good, because it's not. But like 120 is still like, it's decent. I'll take it. As long as I can take safe sets like that, and I look back at that set, and as long as I can see that I've safely taken the set to failure, like, I'm happy. Like, I couldn't have given any more to that set. If I look back and I was like, yeah, you pussied out of that rep, then I would have like beaten myself up for it. But if you're giving it everything, that's the most important thing.